Do 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 do. Do 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 do. What up? This is Shan, and this is Cozy Womb Podcast. This is Ari. Say hi.
Hi.
Say hi, Anya.
Hi.
What up?
Say what?
Hey, it's Shan, and this is Cozy Womb Podcast. Welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Today we're going to focus on grandparents and no more grandparents raising their grandkids. Like, the parents have to step up. Grandparents are grandparents because they already did their time raising the kids that they gave birth to and helped raise and raise into young adults and then adults. And then they have their time to, experience life, travel, visit other family, not have the obligations of raising the next generation. You know what I'm saying? And I think now we have a lot of grandparents raising their grandkids when they should be relaxing and stepping into the next phase of their life. After their 40s, after their 50s, they should be traveling. They should be, not having anything to do, experiencing and, enjoying their retirement. It shouldn't be, I have to raise my grandkids. Like, as parents, let me talk about myself. So, I'm a parent of two. My mom she lived with me for 3 years with my first kid. And so Anya really didn't have to go to a sitter. She didn't have to go to a daycare or a school. And she wasn't really around kids consistently. That's why now she has kind of like a social problem where she doesn't understand personal space, and she has to share a teacher with 20 other kids, and sometimes that's hard for her. But academically, she's on point. She's good on math. She's above where she needs to be. She's good on reading at 5 years old. Academically, she's very smart and spells words and knows a lot of numbers and shapes and colors and all of that. She's great at spelling. But socially, because my mom was always there and my mom was never a great discipline type parent. When I was growing up in the house with her, it's more so like she was another kid in the house. So I dealt with my brothers how I saw fit. And I was more of the person that had to be the kid. I had to be the one to discipline myself. I had to be the one to make a lot of decisions for myself in the household. And I don't want to raise my kids like that. So now that it's just me and my two girls, I try to focus on making sure I prep them every day. I'm responsible for getting them from point A to point B. I choose their schools. I choose their sitters. I choose, what family or friends get to spend time with them or see them or can take them somewhere. But my mom is not here. My mom is in West Palm. Living her life how she wants to live it, enjoying her days, and, not having the responsibility to change diapers or feed a kid or take the kid somewhere or buy the kid this or that. Last summer, my mom, for the whole month of June, she had Anya and Ari, and I appreciate that so much. I mean, that was the best birthday gift ever. To not have to second guess my kids for like a whole month. That was amazing. But this summer she's saying, she wants to go to Jamaica and she wants to, travel to wherever she wants to travel to. Cool. I don't know what I'm doing with the girls for the summer, but I have to figure it out because, close to the end of May, that school is over with, you know what I'm saying? So I have to find somewhere for them to be. It's not for our grandparents to keep our kids every time we want to go out and hang out with our friends or go out of town or enjoy a late night out, or, just live our lives like we don't have kids. That's not what your parents are for. And there's a lot more grandparents out here still working and busting their butt to take care of their grandchildren because for some reason their kid couldn't do it. For some reason their child is maybe no longer living. That's the only way I would excuse it. Or, their child is in the streets on a substance, but they had a kid anyway, and so instead of that child going to the state for them to put in foster care, most grandparents, go ahead and they raise that child, and they struggle and they do everything for that child. And now is not the same as it was back then, where you could really depend on the community to help raise your child in the right way. There's everybody's mentality now is to mind their business, and there's that kid outside in the street. Okay, then there's just a kid outside in the street. It's not that community where, oh no, that's a baby, regardless of who it is, let me go help. It's not that mindset anymore. You know what I'm saying? If somebody outside see your kid doing something they're not supposed to be doing, they're not going to walk up to that child and stop that child and talk to that child and, give that child good words of wisdom all the time. That's not what society is anymore. So now it does take more effort to go ahead and raise kids in the best light. Your grandparents, Anya's grandma, her only obligation is to check in on her grandkids when she sees fit, or I call her and they talk to them, and she asks them questions and they ask her questions, and they spend their time talking, and when they see each other and they spend time. But that's it. Like, my mom doesn't owe me anything in regards to taking care of my kids, and I'm not leaving my kids to my mother. My mother takes 13 pills a day, and she had 5 of us, and I think she deserves to be in the middle of Florida doing absolutely nothing. I kind of wish she would do it. She would have done it sooner, because my mom gave up a lot of the time of her life to raise my brothers and I, and I appreciate it, and I know it took a lot of sacrifice, and my mom's not the strongest person, but for her to, raise me with my father in Philly until I was 8, and just endure, his verbal abuse in the house, and for me to witness it and feel like, that's something normal, and to leave with just items in a bag and on our backs to go to Baltimore, Maryland, to live in a homeless shelter for like a little over a year in order for her to get on Section 8. And while we were in the homeless shelter, she was helping clean out apartments for other people to come in. And, she would volunteer a lot, take us out to where she would volunteer and babysit, and she would try to make money on the side and do whatever she had to do. And I remember her doing that. I remember summers there. I remember her getting really sick and us being in foster care for probably like a month or so. The people in foster care were making like plans for us of what school we were going to go to, what this, what that. Like, we were going to stay like on some forever stuff. And there was a lot of, different transitions I was going through. But every time I was in a situation, it was kind of like I was out of body looking at it. And I just knew some way, somehow, I was going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? She just did a lot, and we finally got on Section 8 and we moved to Laurel, Maryland. We were in PG County, Prince George's County. What up? We were there until I was about 13, 14, around there. And then one of her friends thought it was a great idea for us to move to Florida. We moved to Florida. I hated Florida because every day was the same and it was hot all the time. And I don't know. I'm a city girl. I like to switch it up and have all my seasons. So we were in Florida. We were in an apartment. Walked a long way to school, and we still spent our time, with each other, quality time, doing what we had to do, getting to where we had to go. And my mom finally, got her house, and, between her and the bank paying on it, I don't know. She just ended up losing the house. The bank took it back, and around that time, I was like, 15, 16, I decided to move to Atlanta because I just didn't want to live how the house was. I didn't want to live in a house where I didn't feel like I had a parent that can stand up and protect and defend me, and I just didn't feel like Florida was a place for me to be. And just through all of that, now knowing she's a grandparent of I think 12 grandkids, I would never ever, and I don't think any of my brothers would feel like my mom would be obligated to raise our kids. I don't understand why a lot of parents out here feel like it's okay for their parents to raise their kids. That's not how it should be set up. And you do a disservice to your kids when you allow them to be raised by their grandparents, because they really don't feel the pros of a grandparent when they have to take a parent's place, and they really don't understand the dynamics of what a parent is or what a parent should be when their grandparents have to raise them and their parents don't raise them. The respect is different. You know what I'm saying? That parent may become a friend once they get an adult life instead of getting that proper respect as a parent, if that makes any sense. And, let's not talk about the way that they might raise their kids and feel like, the grandparent that they had should raise their kids too. So that's, 3 generations of disruption of what the family dynamic should be. And the best way I feel like we can stop messing up the dynamic of what family should be is for all of us to take our responsibility where it is. If you are a parent of a child or several children, you need to step up and take care of that child. You need to make sure you're out of trouble. You need to make sure, you can provide for that child. You need to make sure you're there. You spend quality time. You financially give. You emotionally give. You mentally give. Having a child is like watering a plant to grow to its tallest potential. Every day you have to feed it, you have to talk to it, you have to water it, you have to, clip it where it needs to be clipped, trim it, do all of this preparation in the home in order for that child to be outside well built, well set, well prepared. And we just have to stop feeling like, oh, I had a baby, but she at home with my mom, or yeah, I had a baby, but her grandfather watching her. Da 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 da. That's not what grandparenting is. That's a sometimes thing, That's I'm going to grandma's house this weekend. That's it. It's not I live at grandma's house thing. It's not, I had a mom and I had a dad, but my grandpa raised me. My job in adult life is to get to a point where I can provide for my kids, have a home, raise a new family, and also give back to my mother. Make sure I can take care of her in her old age. Make sure if there's something she needed, I could provide. And the fact that my mom has 5 kids, my mom should need for nothing. My mom should never need something and cannot ask one of us for it. That's what it is to have a parent, be raised by a parent, become an adult, have your own kids, have your family, and you take care of that parent that spent all those years raising you, all those years providing for you. That parent that you have is not for babysitting your kids 25/8. That is not why they are there. A lot of grandparents may be frustrated, feeling overwhelmed, overworked, because they're still raising kids as if they've never stopped having kids, because their kids are bringing their kids to their house. If you always bring your kid to your parents' house, stop. I guarantee you, your mom or your dad is tired of them kids being in the house messing up their stuff, and them kids is tired of being at grandma and grandpa's house. Take responsibility for your kids. Get a sitter instead of always taking them to your mom's house or your dad's house or your auntie's house or your uncle's house. And stop telling them, I'm going to be right back, and know that you ain't coming back until Sunday and it's Friday night. Stop doing that, because your kids are going to get older and they're going to catch on to the fact that you're going to take me. It's Friday. You're going to take me to grandma's house. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to watch TV. And then all of a sudden, nobody going to be able to find you. And then grandma going to be calling you and you're not going to answer. Grandpa going to call you and you're not going to answer. The next day, he's going to say you on your way and you're not coming. And I'm not going to see you until Sunday night before I got to go to school. Stop doing that. Your kid doesn't want to feel dropped off. Your kid doesn't want to feel neglected. Your kid definitely doesn't want to feel like they were not wanted, or you regret them in any way, and you really want to be out in the street living your life as if you didn't have kids, because that's how that's going to feel. Grandparents or sometimes deal for spending time with your kids. It's not an all the time deal. That is not what grandparents are. A lot of grandparents go out their way to travel to see their grandkids. But that doesn't mean that the grandparents have to raise them. If you are not deceased and your parents are still alive and you have kids, there's no reason why somebody else is raising your kids. There's no reason. I don't care if you were in the streets, maybe you did time or you're doing time and you want somebody to raise your kids, cool. But once you out, that is your responsibility to get back in place as a parent and raise that child. If you move for a job and you left your kid with their aunt or their uncle or your mom or your dad, cool. But you need to hurry up and do what you need to do to get that child, because you do not want your child to learn quickly what it is at a young age to not have you around. Because then when you are around, that child is not going to value you as a parent. That child is not going to give you the respect that is due as their parent. I'm not saying that it's the right thing, but I'm just saying it's a natural thing to not feel a connection or a certain respect as a parent if you never took the place of being that child's parent. Stop letting your parents raise your kids. Grandparents are supposed to be grandparents. Parents are supposed to be the parent. And that child is yours, not your mom and not your dad's. I'm just saying. We have to do better in order for our kids to be better, in order for our parents to respect us as great parents. We have to be those parents. My name is Shan. Deuces.
Good night, good night, good night, good night.